what happened was probably the spookiest thing I've seen him do is that, without any warning, I went and took my hands away, and instead of his hand flying out like that, his hand kept on moving at exactly the same rate. So there was no lurch like that, he was just moving like that. And then I realised there was no loading of the muscle like a spring so that he could carry a certain amount, everything like that. So the reason that we do forms into thin air is to enable yourself to get the feeling of relaxation, to work this process so that you feel your arm, all your body resting on your centre of mass and you move genuinely effortlessly. It takes a long time for your brain to make the adjustment. Once you start to feel these things, then you reinforce each time. It's really, really helpful to do the forms into mid-air. When we're doing power generation testing it, we're just testing it, we're not learning how to do it. You learn how to do it by having no resistance. If you can feel that you're doing it correctly through the air, then you can apply it on someone. So what happens if I borrow you now? People say they need resistance and they practice against resistance. So what they'll do is, while trying to appear relaxed, they'll push down harder and harder and do all tricks to do it. And so if I push like this, if Eddie takes his hand away, that happens. And that's the problem. When I do it in the air, there's none of that in there, but that was all loaded in when I did it against resistance. When I do it in the air, I just do this. Now, if I can tap into that against force, when Eddie holds like that, I just move the same way, I just like that. And I feel my weight falling off him. I don't feel that I have to use my arm. I can feel that this is here. So straight away, Eddie has to be carrying my whole weight. And then if you don't do it slowly, if you hold tight, even if I have to carry my whole weight, I can quite easily bring him down. It's not strength of my arm, it's just me balancing from here so that I can use this weight to pull him in. Or move him away, it's all the same thing.
Can I let go while you do it?
Oh, yep. Yep. So from here. Oh, that's not bad. So, an example of that moving without using force, the best example I had of that was really early on when I went to Hong Kong, one of the first times, and Siegel was just showing us what he could do, you know, and he was standing there and he was doing a foot south like so, and it was just like standing in front of a truck. There was no give, nothing you could stop, and he was moving me back. And then to illustrate the point further, he got someone else to push on my back. So there was me pushing as hard as I could on this guy who, at that time, he was in his 60s, maybe late 50s even, but you know, I was strong and young, pushed as hard as I could with another guy bigger than me pushing on my back. We're pushing like so. And I don't know what came over me, but for some reason I thought, I'll see what happens when I take my hand away. And it's really out of character. I wouldn't normally, you know, I never thought to test Siegel, but for some reason I thought, what happens, you know? So as we were pushing like this as hard as we could, I went like that. Now I thought, if it was a human being, a normal human being, they would lurch forward like so. And I thought, Siegel probably won't, but I thought, well, what must happen, because there's all this force loading his arm like that when I let go, bang, it's going to shoot out like a rubber band, you know? What happened was probably the spookiest thing I've seen him do is that, without any warning, I went and took my hands away, and instead of his hand flying out like that, his hand kept on moving at exactly the same rate. So there was no lurch like that, he was just moving like that. And then I realised there was no loading of the muscle like a spring so that he could carry a certain amount, everything like that. Everything was just resting through his spine, and so as he moved, it was like a pulley. There was just the weight was coming through his spine, and he would just allow that weight to turn the wheel in his shoulder, the shoulder joint. There was nothing extra there. You're not loaded. People think, oh, well, if they go hard, then I've got to go hard, or anything like that. It's not. It's like you become super powerful and nothing affects you if you can do it like Siegel can do it.